I'd like to introduce everyone to Vince Bradley. We're going to talk today about 3 energy solutions that you can cross-sell today. Vince?
Thank you so much, Sawa, and thanks to everyone for joining us today. Super excited for yet another call coming to you live from Malibu, California, and looking forward to talking about energy and how we can add it to what our process is out in the industry. So we will speak about 3 solutions that you can cross-sell. We'll also do, before that, just a brief review of energy services to kind of keep everyone up to speed as we go through the call. Let's go ahead and move to the next slide. Okay, so again, I'll do an overview. We'll talk about our selling guide, which is mainly designed for sellers and agencies themselves. The procurement overview. Procurement is defined as electricity and natural gas. And then finally, an efficiency overview, which will cover pretty much everything else in the energy space. Super excited today to have Jason DeFulvio and William Lombardo joining us, the people that you love and know and work with at AppSmart. And also our own Patrick Mason from Energy Services to do a provider overview and give you kind of a snapshot if you've missed stuff from this year. This is a great call to attend since you'll be able to catch up on a lot of these solutions that we have today. And at the end of the call, we will also talk about a new spiff that we have. Super excited about that. So please hang on till the end to hear more about that. Let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so again, we've got Jason, William, Patrick, and myself to present today. And let's move to the next one. So this slide is probably my favorite slide. Ultimately, it kind of talks about the opportunity that's out there today. I think a lot of you know that the energy pricing has been at all-time lows in 2020. And so we saw with COVID and the pandemic coming in, sort of an interesting situation. The pricing was low related to that, and then it stayed low for over 6 months. Today, we are starting to see a normal trend, which is that as we are into fall, going into winter, that the prices start creeping up. And so within that, some are predicting that this winter, especially if it's a colder winter, we will wake up to higher prices, right? Because if it's a colder winter, then do we have enough supply, right, for what's out there? And that's where prices get affected. So, we were seeing savings of up to maybe 50%. I haven't seen too many at that rate lately, probably up to 40% or so. Again, guys, is that what you're seeing out there in those ranges?
Yeah, Vince, we've got an opportunity right now that we're working that's customer saving 45%, which is huge.
Okay, so I'm corrected. I love it. I love when these, we continue to be in that same range of up to 50% savings. So again, there is a tremendous opportunity there today for savings with customers. And again, even if the savings is not as sexy, maybe it's only 10%, at the end of the day, that savings could double by next year, because every time in the history of energy pricing, when it's gone down to historic lows like this, 3 times it's happened. And every single time the pricing went way back up the next year. So think about that for a minute. It's not just the savings they're going to get today, it's the savings they're going to get tomorrow, or I should say next year. So a 10% savings could easily double by next year. I want to make sure everyone's clear on that point. Some of my favorite things also about energy, customers need to save money more than ever right now in light of the pandemic. And so we can help them do that with a simple motion. Frankly, selling energy is way easier than selling telecom and cloud. It's just a billing change. Think of UniP Local back in the day, where basically it's a billing change. The meter read comes up, the service switches over to the new rep. A rep is a retail energy provider, kind of like a CLEC in the energy business. So keep that in mind, the ease of the motion in terms of being able to go into energy. There's also, the billing change, right? It's just a billing change, like I mentioned, but there's no installation either. So for example, in Q2 and even in Q3, when we were having problems installing services, we weren't in energy. We were just chugging away. At the end of the day, it was a very tough time. And it's one of the reasons why we've really focused on energy this year and have created a lot of resources for you in the space. I also like that it comes from the same source. So it's not a conversation of, oh, should I actually, forklift my network off of MPLS into SD-WAN and things like that? This is a much simpler conversation. They're paying a certain amount. We can get them a better deal, and they should take advantage of that. Also, I should say in energy, you do a little bit of work up front, and it's the gift that keeps giving. We had one advisor that spent a couple hours on a deal. They got the bill. They sent it to us. We did a proposal. We sent it to the customer. We signed them up. So for a few hours of work, that advisor is going to make over $30,000 in commission. I'm just curious, anyone want to chime in on some of the feedback in addition to the benefits of that? Anyone have any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's more than just the commission, right? I mean, you as advisors are bringing more value to the customers themselves, gaining share of wallet in general, and just overall creating a stickier customer by bringing them more value coming from your agency.
Yeah, definitely the bundling. I think a lot of you have heard me talk about that, how when we upsell energy into a telecom client, the retention goes way up. Think about it. Now you're helping them with the two big utilities that they have in their spend, right? So you're much more valuable to them if you get there. So I think probably my favorite thing is that there's no tickler files in energy. I love that. Think about mortgages for a minute, and think about the fact that right now, when this pricing is still relatively low, that you can actually sign up customers today. Oh, the biggest objection we all hear, oh, I'm in a contract for the next 6 months, for the next year. No problem, Mr. Customer. We can still lock you in at the low rates that we have today, and it will just switch over at a time when your contract is up. And that way you can take advantage of these savings without having to actually switch and have contractual issues. So that's a huge benefit. Any comments on top of that one?
Well, Vince, it's probably worth to just remind everyone that's for electric and gas, both.
Yeah, absolutely.
Locking
Good
it
point,
in.
William. It's important to note that. I think that, again, I think a lot of people focus on electricity when we talk about energy. Natural gas is a big play. And frankly, right now, natural gas is the normal motion going into fall and into winter. It's natural gas buying season right now. So thank you, William. That's a good point. Anyway, that's pretty much it on this one. The bottom line is that you've got a lot more ease of going to business and going to market for you and your sellers right now in the energy space because of what we can do. Again, telecom is a more complex long-term cycle. All of the energy is coming from the same source. There's no conversation about, oh, what's the network look like? So again, it's a great thing. You can see the map here on the screen, and the map kind of goes over, what states, that's the one of the big differences in energy is that the states are going to be regulated or deregulated. The Northeast, brokers are huge in the Northeast. If you have customers in the Northeast, they probably know they can switch. So it might be easier. Then again, there's probably more competition. So it really depends on the relationships you have and what you can do with them. The Midwest is also very mature, as you can see. So we've got several states in the Midwest that are deregulated or partially deregulated. Texas also is definitely a good play in the energy space and gives opportunities as well. So again, but also a reminder, if you've got a customer in one of the states that's gray, if they're a really big customer, a really big user, like 5,000 or more per month in energy supply or generation, another term for it, then we can consider to work with those customers, but it's more of an ICB. So again, for the ease of motion, Northeast, Midwest, Texas, but this is again, just for procurement. We'll talk about a lot of other solutions. And so for those of you that are in those gray states and you don't have customers that are bigger like that, natural gas users, that's okay. We've got a whole portfolio of solutions that we can bring to the table to help you with. So let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. So now I want to go ahead and get into some of our collateral. And this collateral is co-branded. So you can put your logo on this collateral, except for this first one. This first one is designed for you and your sellers. It's designed so that you can actually look and see, some of the benefits of energy services. Like I mentioned, reducing cost, fixed rate contract for ease of doing business, no installation, simple billing, same source. A lot of simple things about selling energy. It's time to upsell energy to your base because again, the pricing is creeping up, but it's a huge opportunity for you and your clients to save money. This form also goes into, you can see the persona, right? So you can see on the verticals, hospitality, healthcare, huge verticals for us. Also, looking into manufacturing. Manufacturing is the number 1 vertical that we have success with in energy. So if you've got manufacturing clients, definitely get the bills from them. There'll be a good opportunity to help them out. And again, get more mind share, and to Jason's point, keep them more as a customer bundled in, right? So also speaks to company size. There's no minimum for you to sign up energy customers in procurement. We recommend probably at least a $500 or $1,000 bill, depending, because again, even though the commissions are a little bit lower in energy, like to Jason's point and other points that were made on the call, there's a lot more to it, right? You're going to retain your base more. So what is the value of that long term? I would argue that it's actually better to have a stickier customer that's not going to leave you, even if you make a few less points, right? So anyway, it also goes into buyer function. Finance, operations, and facilities are some of the best. And then obviously C-level is always going to be your best, but also GMs, operations, and VPs of finance are very good clients as well. And so, when you look at that, and I would say like right now, natural gas, restaurants are a really great one. First of all, we're shut down, a lot of them, right? So they need to save money more than ever. And they're big natural gas users. So if you've got restaurants, those are great ones also to go after. Some manufacturing, restaurants, people that have refrigeration, warehouses, stuff like that, all are big, good client opportunities for us. Finally, it goes into some of the solutions and why they're a good fit, qualifying questions, and it has a little bit more information, including the visual aid of the map. The next piece of collateral, if we can move on, this is one that is co-brandable. So if you see where it says do not distribute, right below that is where you'd have your logo. So you can co-brand that with us, and you can go to market. We also have room on the bottom of that page, if you can see there, the gray area, where you can put your contact information, so you can customize that according to what's needed for you. So it's great for that. So again, please send us your logo. We'd be happy to put it on the collateral for you so you can send that to your customers. So on this one, you can see also it has the visual aid. It has the graph that shows that low pricing, historically low pricing in 2020. And then it has the simple 3-step process of how it works. Pretty much getting the bills, engaging us, and then we'll get a proposal for you. Also has a really nice quote there at the bottom from a client that had switched over to energy. Couldn't believe how easy it was, frankly, and it is easy. So let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. This one actually we'll be talking about today, more of these services as we do an overview of the portfolio. But you can see as we've gone over on the left side, you've got recurring services, electricity and natural gas, building controls in the cloud, HVAC controls, energy expense management. And then on the right side, you've got LED lighting, water efficiency, electric vehicle charging, and then solar and cogeneration. So there is some residual bearing products within that right side, but a lot of them are equipment based. So this one has probably the best quote out of any of our pieces. This is also one of the 2 pieces that is co-brandable for you. But once again, you can put your contact information on the bottom. And there's a really good quote there, more of an IoT quote, which is appropriate for that piece of collateral. So again, send us the logo. We'd be happy to get you up and running on these pieces of collateral. Let's go ahead and move to the next slide. So, I think that, if you look at this in a box, right, a lot of you are probably saying, I just don't have time, or this sounds complicated. I don't know enough about this. The AppSmart team is here for you to help you with this. We've actually set up a program that makes it really easy for you too. If you are sitting there saying one of these things, first of all, I would tell you, you've heard me talk about how it's actually easier. But if you're still thinking, well, I just don't even have time to learn something that's easier, this program could be for you. In exchange for getting 50% of the commission, basically we would do everything in the process. And the beauty is you could learn while we're doing it. So if you're in that situation, we can give you an email template. You can send it out to all your customers. You copy us, full transparency on the entire engagement with the customer. You can send out the emails, or if you'd like, you can give us email addresses and we will send it out and copy you and keep you in the loop the entire process. So keep this in mind. This referral program has got some good traction on it. At the end of the day, 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing, as we've all heard. And so that's an opportunity for you right now. So again, think about it in terms of what you can do, right? Again, going back to that bundling conversation. And in pandemic times, we got to shift and pivot our business model a little bit in these times. So again, the referral program can be a really good way to also get things moving. Let's go ahead and move to the next slide. And this is the final piece I wanted to go over here. But I want to mention, while a lot of us are not planning on traveling as much as we used to, we all got to have goals. And so, with this trip, we've got our President's Club is going to be to Nevis, which is a beautiful island. And so there are two ways that you can qualify to go to Nevis. 2 tickets to paradise is easier than you might think. For energy, we've got a $30,000 minimum. And we've got a few advisors that are very close to that number already right now. But if you've got a nice big deal and you're thinking about the big deals right now, now is the time to move. And again, even with the referral program, you can still qualify for this, right? So, it doesn't really, it's about the amount of revenue that you bring, it's referral program or not. So it's a good opportunity for everyone to get there. So the top seller in energy with a $30,000 minimum is going to paradise. There's another way to qualify. Let's just say that you're at 40K in your telecom cloud base, and you're kind of you've been working it and you just don't see the funnel for that extra 10K. This is a way to get you over the top. And there is no limit on the number of trips that can be won by revenue growth. So if you grow your base by 40K and you can upsell another 15, 20K of energy, then you can get the trip. So again, good opportunity for all of us. This is running through the end of the year, so you've got a couple more months. And then again, with that spiff that we've got, we're talking $500, per new logo. That's over $2,000 on a 3-year term. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but I wanted to connect the dots with some of these incentives right now. So let's go ahead and move to the next slide. Okay, now we're going to move over and do a little Q&A, which I'm looking forward to. So, within this motion, I just want to, talk with some of the guys about, what's going on in the space. So, Jason, what energy solutions seem to interest the advisors most, in your opinion?
Gas and energy obviously is kind of the low-hanging fruit. That's the one we talked about the most. There's just cost savings in it for the end customer there. EV charging stations, obviously, electric vehicles are popping up everywhere. I just saw 4 or 6 new stations going in at the local strip mall just the other day. And then solar, right? Obviously, that's just kind of the fastest growing sector of energy. The solar's popping up everywhere. So those are the 3 kind of keys that I've seen lately from our advisors.
Thanks, Jason. I think you're spot on. Again, there's a lot there, and we'll get into these and shortly after these questions. So, William, is there a profile of advisory clients that best suit one solution over another?
I think my clients, the advisors who have clients with multi-locations, it really suits anybody with a strong energy usage. But I think advisors with multi-location customers, and a lot of advisors with who have, like most of on this call, who have embedded relationships. It's just such an easy transition. And actually, the last thing I'll say is any advisors doing telecom expense management, talking to their customers about savings, this is an additional way to just tack this on to offer savings to the end customer. So I really think it's multi-location, the relationship, and I know several and all of us are trying to save our end users money.
That's spot on, William, especially in regards to a lot of these other solutions we're going to talk about. Because ultimately, think about it, with the regulated states with electricity and natural gas, you really need to have other services, right, in those regulated states. And typically, multi-location customers are the ones that will have that. So thank you for that. Jason, back to you. How easy has it been to bring up energy solutions to the advisor?
I mean, I think bringing it up to the advisors has been, really easy, right? I mean, a lot of agents that have been around this business for a long time have, back 10 years ago, right? We talked about saving customers money, right? Let me have a copy of your bills. We're doing that today with energy, right? Which has been great, right? It's kind of old habits, new sector, right? So definitely easy to bring that up with the advisors. What I'm hearing is maybe a little bit of pushback or fear on their comfort level and starting to have these conversations. But we've got the team behind us, right, within AppSmart, Patrick, you, and others to help the agents through those conversations, to be there with them if we need them on the first few calls. And then agents that are engaging are starting to understand, learn, and then have those conversations a little bit easier on their own as they go forward.
Great points. And what I've seen is that there's a ton of interest in energy. And it's interesting because a lot of people just continue to forget. One thing I would ask everyone, and I would write this down, add it to your pitch. Instead of just asking for the telecom bill or the telecom and cloud bill, say, hey, I'd love to, I've made the pivot over into being a utilities agent, utilities advisor. And so now I'd actually like to ask you for your telecom, cloud, and energy bill or bills, right? So I think it just expands the conversation, to your point, Jason.
Yep.
William, how receptive have the advisors been to talking about energy solutions with the customers? I think it's important to circle back on
this. I'll tell you, advisors have been extremely receptive, and it's completely different than it was when I was having this conversation. We were having these conversations 2 years ago, or 2.5 years ago. The momentum that I've seen with the receptiveness from advisors has been amazing, and obviously from some of the closed business and the engagement. So I just feel like really over the last 12 months, the engagement and the receptiveness have gone up dramatically. So
yeah, I think it's a good response to where we're at, right? I mean, ultimately, and I also, a lot of you have heard me talk about over the years, IoT, right? Kind of the trifecta of IoT. I've always talked about it. You've got connectivity on one end, you've got mobility on another end coming together, and that is largely IoT, but energy coming in is the third dimension, in my opinion, on IoT. And we've seen some great results. And I will tell you, one of my visions is to create the IoT bundle. And I hope to do it next year. It's a big lift, but I'm working on it, everyone. So please be patient with me as I get there with the help of the AppSmart team. We're doing a lot of hard work to help all of you. Jason, circling back with you. So what can we do differently to help educate the advisors?
I think, webinars like this, open it up to, having open forums with the advisors, letting them, get their fears and questions out in front of them, so that, we can help them, fill in those blanks, answer those questions before they go talk to customers. And then possibly, starting, some vertical focused webinars, right? So maybe hospitality, healthcare, building management, those types of focuses, I think could help advisors, really kind of step over and make the pivot into really selling energy at a high level.
Thanks so much for that. You're spot on again. I think it's kind of a part of the journey, right? William, circling back with you, do certain verticals that advisors serve attract one solution over another?
Yeah, again, I think that, again, electric and gas, uh, great verticals are, of course, multi-location, retail, any customer with high energy consumption, colleges, universities, manufacturing. And as one of my advisors told me when I was speaking to her yesterday, which was a great point, she said, think out of the box. If I had a business, where would I need savings other than IT and telecom? I think that's a great way to approach it. So thank you for that,
I think,
Kathleen.
William, you're spot on. I love the thinking out of the box, as disruptors in the industry, right? That's it. That's the way we roll. So appreciate that. Jason, I think I got one more for you. Trusted advisors upselling into existing strong relationships.
Right.
You're seeing that as well?
Yeah, I mean, that's the easy entry point for advisors, right? It's finding those friendly customers that you've already been working with. You've been, a trusted advisor to them for years, right? Now it's time to expand that into other avenues, right? Other ways that you can help, your customers. So one example that I've got from one of my agents that is really, it was funny that he did it, but he reached out to his entire base of customers and just basically said, if you're only buying telecom from me, you're not using me as best, as I'm best suited. Right. So and we've been talking about it all, for the last 40 minutes, but that's one thing that I would have the advisors take away is that there's more out there. There's more wallet share. There's more ability to help your customers, which, as I said before, just creates a stickier customer. They're doing more with you, and they in fact like you more because you're helping them more, and more well-rounded in their business.
Yeah, again, I think you're spot on too. I think that ultimately, it's really about with these customers realizing what's there, right? And I talked about that pivot. The advisors that have pivoted into energy this year are getting so much more traction from their customers, and they're getting a lot more attention as well because ultimately no one else is bringing these solutions to them. I guess what I'm saying is we have an opportunity right now that just doesn't exist elsewhere, right? Going back to that IoT conversation, we've got the three-dimensional aspect. And so when it comes to solutions at AppSmart, we're bringing, the most complete solution to distribution in the channel today. Kind of to cap off what you're saying there, Jason.
Yeah.
Okay, one more for William. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I would just say that the fact that you're bringing up energy, you end up talking to more people within the business itself. So you're not always talking to just the IT manager or director. You end up talking to the CFO and others within the company, which brings your business, right, more visibility, and you get more traction within the company itself.
Yes, thank you for that. William, one more for you. Just real quick, can you tell us about any big wins you've had with your partners? Just curious on that.
Absolutely. We had a nice win a couple months ago, a partner in the Northeast in New Jersey. It was a manufacturing company, about $6,000 a month. And then a great win, multi-location deal, healthcare end user out of Pennsylvania. That was, I think, was like $15,000 a month. And in both of these cases, it was an advisor with an existing relationship who posed a new question to the customer and got bills, and they hit it. So fantastic.
Nice. Well, guys, thank you so much for that, and we'll continue pelting you with questions today. So ultimately, just at this point, I do want to hand it off to the director of the channel, Patrick Mason, to speak more about the energy solutions at AppSmart. Patrick?
Yeah, thanks for that. Great Q&A. And just to touch on a couple of points there, the fear factor of asking, I don't think anyone is attacking as a channel this opportunity with energy like AppSmart is. So I know you're the end user customers are probably not used to people walking in the door that have been selling connectivity and asking if they are interested in an energy audit, which is basically what this is. Because people that are making the switch already is usually coming from an internal advocate that's wanting to do LED lighting or wanting to do building controls. Having someone walk through the door and offer that, it's something they're already talking about, the customer internally. They just haven't maybe activated on it yet. So that question, very simple question, can we do an energy audit? We just need to see your bills, is going to prompt, I think, a lot of response. So that was great. Thanks. So now my screen is frozen. There we go. A couple solutions that you could sell right away. We decided to focus on some cloud-based solutions. Building management for smart and healthy buildings is one opportunity. It's basically metering or sub-metering or censoring anything that's around energy or even air quality, which is important now, post-COVID and as buildings are reopening. So you can take and gather data and analytics around energy use and air quality and have it report back to a single pane of glass, effectively managing your buildings from afar, which is important now because a lot of buildings are empty, and creating rules and schedules around what you're metering. And again, it could be everything from door strikes, which is security, to temperature, to plug load level, energy use, to HVAC. All these things are now measurable and have the ability to be reported back to a single pane of glass. Secure remote access for your buildings, run your buildings on autopilot, again, by understanding how it's working, getting a benchmark, creating a schedule and policies around what's working correctly and addressing what's working inefficiently. And most of our solutions are completely agnostic. So in this particular case, we have to tie into existing building management systems, but our solutions can tie in with any asset that the client already has. Another solution, cloud-based, called the smoke detector for water. And that's something that can actively catch leaks within commercial office spaces or any space actually where leaks are prone. If people don't know, leaks are apparently the #1 insurance claim against fire and theft combined. So more claims against water damage in buildings than fire and theft combined. And it's basically deploying a number of sensors and valves and controllers wirelessly connected to a base station that pushes details out to the cloud. And again, reports any issues leak related back to facilities who can go out and address the leak before it causes any major damage. Catching leaks daily for these logos. You can see some pretty big logos here, especially commercial real estate, CBRE, Kilroy, Irvine Company, and retail clients such as Capital One, Montage, and others. An easy visual to see where these are being installed. And as you can see, most of them are commercial high rises. Salesforce is the most recent case study, fully installed in the new Salesforce office tower. Since January, they've caught approximately 40 leaks, and they're putting a value on that at 1.8 million, based on the leaks that the leak could potentially cause as far as damage is concerned. We mentioned EV charging, and I saw something in the news this morning about how China, which is the largest market for cars, has rebounded post-COVID and seen a 40% increase in electric vehicle sales. So they're coming, and that's a good indicator of what's going to come through Europe and then the US. Forecasted to, in 2023, be close to 1 million EV charging stations in the US. And that's an opportunity that we have with our partner EV Connect that produces and provides a cloud-based management solution for all things EV. So in this instance, it's a portal that the client has that's able to make sure that their systems are working, able to monetize it, able to logo it with their logo, and a driver app for allowing drivers to find the charging stations and even pay for the service.
Hey, Patrick, let me just jump in for a quick question on that, on
Yeah.
that last couple slides. So William, what do you think of these single pane of glass solutions? I'm just curious what you think on that as it relates to for the advisors.
I think especially for our advisors who are already, selling in the cloud on the application side, this is a great. It's an easy segue. You're staying in the same ecosystem and introducing a new cost-saving service with a single pane of glass for for your customer to internally manage cost savings. So I think it just makes a lot of sense. And I think to your point, the crossover. It took me a while to understand this, Vince, because you've been saying it for 3 years. But the crossover between energy and IoT is really seamless in so many ways. So I think it's very powerful, and it gives us a foot in the door when we're talking about other cloud services that can be managed on a single pane of glass.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's helped some advisors I've spoken with when I've said, hey, look, you like to sell cloud. Well, you can start selling energy without leaving cloud, right? To your point, William. So it's really, really helped them with that flow. So yeah, that's a great point. Jason, real quick, I love the water solutions like the valve and the leak detection. Have you seen any interest in these solutions, like in Colorado or other areas at all? I think you're muted, Jason.
Sorry. Yeah, definitely. Agriculture, data centers, downtown Denver, the big cities, those type of large buildings. There's been, a ton of interest. We saw an opportunity, up in Fort Collins with the agriculture side. So yeah, definitely been some interest there.
Nice. Well, Patrick, back to you. I just wanted to jump in and see what the guys thought there.
Yeah, and we didn't even really touch on incentives and rebates. That people know about that for solar, but for EV charging stations and even for efficiency solutions, cloud managed building solutions, utilities and states and federal are offering certain rebates where a lot of the times you can get the trenching of a EV charging station, let's say the physical station itself. All the construction and trenching and work that goes into physically putting that in place. I know in California, all 3 utilities are offering pretty heavy incentives to get that done at no cost. And then it's just the SaaS then subscription service like EV Connect that enables you to manage those stations, regardless of who the manufacturer is, from a single pane of glass, cloud-based. Solutions for business and organizations. Everyone's got their own idea or kind of angle towards it. The workplace, retail, hotels, and apartments and condos. It's more of an amenity to either your employee or your guest. Retail, important. If one mall has EV charging stations and down the road the other doesn't, you're likely to draw in those people that have EV because most charging is done away from the home. Most charging of cars is done at the workplace, at retail. So it's usually done where you end up when we all eventually get back to work. Government, of course, has sustainability initiatives around EV charging. So just depending on who you're talking to, there could be a different angle on how to sell, but there's always a great opportunity. So those were 3 cloud-based solutions, reporting back to single panes of glass that we thought would be important to cross-sell now. Going over quickly some more equipment-based. Everyone knows LED lighting. I think by this point we've been talking about it for quite a while. It's really, the visual on this is just the before and after, and an idea here of what a good prospect looks like for LED. So the ROI and the case. The ROI on LED is based on old lighting systems. So we're really looking for customers that are having their lights on 12 plus hours a day. Customers that have a budget is also helpful. And with all of these solutions, having access to the decision maker, someone who wants to save money or facilities manager, operations, CFO, CEO, C-suite are good places to be.
Hey, Patrick, just jumping in once more, if I may,
Sure.
With a question from the EV charging, which again, I know is a super hot, fast growing, probably the fastest growing space in energy. William, I'm curious, insights into EV charging from you.
Well, I mean, I heard Tesla passed up Toyota, the sales in this summer. I mean, how incredible is that? And if anybody's been following the stock, you might be and missed it. You might be as angry as I am because I've been watching it the whole time and it just took off. But I'll also say, Vince, that I may be the only, big statement, I may be the only person on this call who actually has a plug-in Prius. And when I plug it in, I get 10 to 12 miles of EV. So if I'm, and I've used that, I go out to dinner in Reston or lunch, and I plug it in and I kind of drive home on the electric vehicle. But I think it's just a serious value add, just as Patrick said, for commercial properties. I think it's a great amenity for multifamily properties, apartments, garden condos, everything Patrick said. And I mean, Tesla passed up Toyota, and electric vehicles are so prevalent. So, I just think it's going to continue to grow at a rapid rate. It's a great conversation to have if you're talking to the right
Yeah,
person.
that really sent shockwaves through the industry when that happened. It really did. I think a lot of people were like, "Whoa, it makes a big difference." And a tip for everyone: if I have a Tesla, right? I don't have a hybrid, so watch out when it gets down to about 5 miles. Don't push it. I had to find out the hard way one time, which was very interesting. That's another webinar, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Patrick, back to you.
They've got a good roadside assistance, so don't they, Tesla?
Oh, they do. They do.
Yeah. Again, so back to just say this again, some before and after shots of what LED can do. So not only is it energy savings, but it's also security and enhancement in the physical space. As far as learning is concerned, I know there are many studies around light and learning, different types of lights, different shades of light that can prompt different responses during different times of day. And security, we had a client up in Chicago who replaced their lighting in their pool deck after someone slipped and fell and sued the organization that they were, I think it was a YMCA, or threatened to sue. So, bringing buildings back up to code too is an important factor, aside from the obvious savings. Going into solar, we've got a really cool app that anyone now can download and send it out after the call. Basically an app where you can design solar on your phone. The solar marketplace is expected to triple by 2025, and you can see the numbers there, 4.7 billion in 2018 for commercial and industrial. And it's just exploding because the cost of equipment is coming down. Incentives at the federal level, as right now, are scheduled to start going away, which is unfortunate, but there's opportunities within the state and utility as well. And the price of solar, as I mentioned before, is really competing now with traditional generation, which I call getting from the grid that's either done by gas, natural gas, or slowly phasing out until almost nothing, coal still. But the app allows you to design with just putting in a street address, a full solar system on. Right now, it's just for residential. It's slated to go into the commercial space end of this year, beginning of next year. And we actually just did a solar for Vince at his property in Malibu, and we did it exclusively on an iPhone. Plugged in his address, set the panels where he wanted them to be, got the financing, and selected a contractor from the marketplace to come out and install, do all the permitting. I don't know, Vince, if you want to chat about that a little bit, how easy it was.
I mean, it was pretty amazing just from the fact that, walking up to the property and then it spins up the solar panels and where they're going to go within minutes. It's incredible. And we're going to be expanding this into commercial real estate, right? Pretty soon. I think my favorite thing that I've been doing, though, is that IoT conversation I've been having. The water valve we mentioned earlier, that I'm saving 35% on the water on the property. I've got the solar coming in. And then also, other things that I've got on the property, like the IoT mesh system from observables, incredible stuff. And it's all related. And so everything on the entire property is connected via sensors. It's amazing. So when you come out west, please come visit and I'll give you a demo. It's kind of an IoT demo site at the end of the day. So thanks for that, Patrick. I'm curious, Jason, what do you think of the app?
I love it. I mean, Patrick talked about it quite a bit, but I mean, the fact that you plug in your address and even I could see, you could see the hologram of your house. You can move around it. You can see where where they suggest that you put the panels, and then you can customize it on your own. Super cool application. And then it tells you, what your expected savings are, costs, all that stuff, all, really at the touch of a button that's easy to use.
And I think you guys have all heard it, but just in case you haven't, the savings in solar and stuff like that, my bill is about $500 a month. Can't seem to get my family to turn off lights and fans, right? We can all relate. And, it was a pretty hot summer. So at the end of the day, my bill was about $500 a month. Now I'll be paying Edison $10 a month, and my payment on the solar is like $300 or something like that. So literally going to save money making energy, and I can go off the grid in just a matter of time. So it's pretty incredible what we can do with this technology. So back to you, Patrick.
Yeah, and I mean, while we don't focus on residential, we're just promoting this as the future of what we feel energy and how it's going to go. But available to the channel at no cost to download the app and do solar, just to kind of play around with. It's kind of a fun tool. It will, like I said, start going into the commercial and industrial space soon enough. Our partners have now collected data on over 300,000 commercial buildings and counting. So what that enables us to do is, if there's a building that one of your clients has a building that has had no efficiency upgrades done to it at all, and it's a very close match to another building in the same utility that we have data on, we can very quickly, just based on the address and the data that we already have, kick back a very high level business case and financing options for a complete energy retrofit. So that's what's coming, just based on the on data, which we all know is king, and the ability to create efficiency reports on basically a digital twin, and produce a very pretty accurate proposal on what a retrofit business case would be for a client. Energy expense management and auditing, just a function again of audits and optimization, potentially saving up to 20% on an audit, help in renegotiating vendor contracts, utility bill payments, can collect utility bills from all locations and service providers, verify the compliance with the contract, process bill payments, and deliver back a payment receipt confirmation. A true expense management solution that can be used to manage your entire infrastructure with all its diversity of assets and expense types. So again, electricity and natural gas, very transactional, easy to do, no customer service, no provisioning. Utility still handles everything, but it's limited because not all states are deregulated. So the rest of the portfolio was really designed to be able to sell within those deregulated states as well as outside in the regulated territories. So everyone can have a go at doing an energy audit.
Quick question for William before we move on to the recap here. So what do you think is the best profile client for waste management, William?
And I would say the bigger companies that have many areas of spend, including electric, gas, water, lighting, solar. I think for bigger companies where it's a significant enough cost that you can show them you can show them a significant saving and make money, I think that's the best fit. And it really rounds off the cost savings energy bundle audit. If you're thinking about bundling some of these cost saving opportunities. So I definitely would say the bigger companies.
Thanks, William. And just as a kind of a recap real quickly. So again, the electricity and natural gas, you heard Patrick just talk about it. That's the ball right now. I think, ultimately when that pricing goes back up, then we can focus on a lot of the other issues, right? Or a lot of the other products, just simply because, again, right now that's an opportunity for us. So I strongly recommend leading with that, getting the electricity and natural gas bills now as we go into, getting ready to plan for 21. We talked about them all, right? So building controls in the cloud, being able to manage every sensor from a single pane of glass. AC goes out on the 7th floor. IT knows about it before the customer knows about it, right? That's the important thing. Expense management, we just kind of touched on it. LED lighting, a very popular product in the channel. We've got several vendors that we can work with on that. We're even introducing Wi-Fi technology next year. We're just kind of pre-launching that. Super exciting. Water efficiency, we talked about the leak detection. I mentioned the valves that you can put in as well. EV charging, just a very hot space. And then finally, solar and cogen. So anyway, let's move to the next slide. And I think we're just going to, talk about verticals. This is one, please write these down. Put it on a sticky note, put it on your desk, put it on your monitor. This is the only way, right? We're all so busy that if we don't pivot and sort of commit to, hey, I'm gonna make a new pitch to my clients, we're all busy, we'll forget, right? We're human and it's gonna happen. It happens to me every day, it happens to all of us. So put that thing on your monitor. I'm telling you, it helps me a ton with all the things we have going on. Write down some of these that kind of jump out at you, right? Restaurant groups are great right now because they got hit hard, as I mentioned, and they're big gas users, right? Cities, municipalities, great prospects. Property management, also very good. Manufacturing, as I mentioned, is the #1 vertical. I would also say healthcare. I would add that to this as well. Auto dealerships, you'd be surprised for lighting, what you can do for auto dealerships. They all need to be upgrading to LED and we can help them get there. Hospitals and hospitality and hotels. Just to plug it, Patrick's got a long background in that, so he can help you with those. Retail, certainly excellent. And then schools, universities, commercial real estate, as someone mentioned, is a great vertical. Think about it. They're talking to people before they order this stuff, right? So get in before the client gets in. So again, a good opportunity. And then of course, places of worship. So that kind of rounds out the verticals that we've got. Let's go ahead and move to that last slide and we can talk. So you can see there on the page, it's kind of an overview of the procurement, get the gas and electric bill, efficiency, get the electricity bill, water and waste, get the water and waste bill and the recycling bill. And in all cases, and this was a question that came in and I'm going to start answering some questions now. That's the action. I think 2 or 3 people asked, what's the next step? Get the bill. It's as simple as that. Get those bills, scan them, send them to energy@AppSmart, and we'll do a proposal for you. So that's really, the answer to that. Some of the other questions that came in, large gas versus gas. So the large gas in the gray states would be more of something where you're going to have $5,000 or more spent. It becomes kind of like a mini wholesale contract is what ends up happening. So you can come back and get with us offline and we can explain it more to you, but that's kind of how that works. Someone asked, and I'm glad this question came up because I forgot to mention it, the customer with service issues, if they have service issues, this is one of the great things about energy. They continue to contact the utility. Remember when I was saying it's only a few hours and then you're done for like a year or 2 or 3? I mean, it literally is that way because the utility will continue doing the customer service. So continue to talk about how easy this is. And a lot of people think, oh, it's too good to be true. Well, with low pricing this year, it's not. It really has been a land grab this year. So join the land grab. Some of the other questions that came in, certain states, which states to look at on the map, the green states. And I think that, the person that asked that question had sort of alluded to that. So it's the green states. One person asked, how do you determine who the provider is going to be? Just like in telecom, we're going to send this out. We're going to find out who has the best solution for the client's needs. And we're going to give you options. And one of the things I love about our motion and our journey here is that we're creating some automation that is actually AI-based and actually enables the customer to get what's best for the customer, as opposed to stack ranked sites, which are really better for the broker, right? I'm not saying I want to make it easy for you. I'm saying that we are going to work with you in this process. And, we are relaunching our marketplace. And so this is going to be the right path for our journey. So more really exciting stuff to come on next month's webinar. Don't miss it. It's going to be great for that reason. So again, we determine the provider, we compare it to the question that was asked, and it's billed by the rep, right? Which is, like I mentioned, like a CLEC in the energy business. So they do the billing. We're basically a similar motion as you have with us now. We're going to find the solutions and help you to source them. Another question, we are measuring in kilowatt hours. We do have fixed and variable rate products to that question. And then someone asked a question about Colorado. Colorado is gas only. So I just want to answer that question as well. Commercial real estate. One person asked, I think he was asking about, in commercial real estate, have we seen decline in buildings? Because a lot of people are predicting people will not go back. The answer is yes. And I would say, though, that for people that are going back to the office, we do have our last webinar, we talked about some products that are designed to help people return safely to their offices. We've got all kinds of things that we can help them with: air filtration. We have sprays that they can use, all kinds of stuff. So come back to us on that. But yeah, we are seeing some of the decline in the buildings. And what we do know is that the buildings are trying to be more efficient, right? And more cost effective. So even though it's weird that people are not going back yet, a lot of people are not going back, they're still maintaining the buildings. They've got to keep these buildings cost reduction, but also be more efficient. So there's still a lot of activity going on in that space. Titles to tap. I think if Patrick, if you can go back to like the third slide real quick, we can show them a visual aid on that one and we can jump back over. That slide actually shows the verticals on it. It's a collateral, so you want to go all the way back in the deck to like the third slide. And as he's doing that, I will mention that with EV charging stations, we actually don't think about selling the EV charging stations first. Think of the software first. The software pays a lot more commission. It's recurring revenue, right? But we can sell the charging stations. The cost range. Patrick, are you aware? You're a little closer to that than me. Are you aware of the cost of the charging stations? We don't really focus much on it. We can do it, but I wanted to see if you had anything to add.
The equipment itself, it can range from single port, that's a low charging capacity, meaning it'll take a car 5 hours to charge, as opposed to dual port quick charging, which can charge a battery in half an hour, 45 minutes. So it depends on the voltage and the amount of ports, but they range anywhere I've seen from $1,500 all the way up to 10,000 per unit, depending on.
There you go. And there are some tax benefits, but we won't get them onto because we're actually at time. So what I want to mention quickly is please stay on the call, because there's going to be a survey. And the beauty of the survey is if you reply to it, we can get back to you. So you can quickly give us the survey information. We'll come back to you with the information that you're requesting. And we really appreciate that feedback from you. So once again, I want to thank everyone for joining today. Really appreciate the time. William, Jason, Patrick, Salwa, thank you all for your time. And until next time, everyone, good energy to you. Thank you.